make all the demons quiet. Yeah, we were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough.
What's going on, guys? My name is Mike. I'm accompanied here with Mike and Tom, and welcome to another episode of Ammo Cans and Crayons. This is a podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the inauguration of the 47th President, Donald Trump. We're going to be going over some of the key things that happened during the inauguration, some of the things that were said, some of the things that is going to be implemented, some of the things that are going to be, going forward here. Going to start off right off the bat. I am not really a political person, so I am just a key moderator, I guess you could say. And today we are going to be going over some of the stuff that was brought up. Mike here has a list of things that we're going to go ahead and discuss. So, Mike, take it away.
All right. What do you guys think about the inauguration being indoors?
I think it was one of two reasons. Either A, the weather was a major contributing factor to that. But the conspiracy theorist in me thinks that maybe they moved it inside because it would make him a little bit of a harder target.
Yeah, but he said in the Oval Office there was no security threat.
Yeah, they say that there's no security threat, but I mean, the dude's already had 2 attempts.
True.
So, I mean, and if anybody's going to get him and make a statement, it's going to be at the inauguration.
That's not just generally him, though, but like people attending.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. So that's my theory behind it. Whether or not that's a fact, I can't tell you. But, yeah,
it was pretty cold that day.
Yeah, it was really cold that day.
Yeah, but I think I've seen them do the inaugurations in
colder
lot worse weather.
Yeah. I think Obama did one that was like colder.
I think I may be wrong, but I could have sworn I've seen one where it's like snowing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they said the last time it was held inside was Reagan.
Yeah, Reagan had his inauguration inside.
Yeah.
So,
it's funny too because Reagan had for his second term, he got assassinated. Well, his first term, assassination attempt.
yeah.
Right.
So, and then he had his inside, and then Trump does the same thing.
Yeah.
So maybe your tinfoil hat, it maybe has something there.
That I'm kind of thinking so. I mean, they've already tried twice, and I was surfing social media earlier today, and I've seen numerous videos of like, oh well, somebody needs to go and kill this man and this and that, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, dude, I mean, yeah, free speech and all, but still, I mean, you can't just go around saying stuff like that,
Right.
And then the fact that they moved it inside for his inauguration, I mean, I'm not saying all the pieces are there, but it's kind of starting to.
Well, that just comes back to the media they're watching, the information they're consuming from other people. Saying that he's a threat to democracy and everything else. That's what led to his first assassination attempt.
Yeah,
it's because they were just like, he's Hitler, he's a threat to this country. So,
yeah,
people get brainwashed on believing what's spewing out of some media corporations.
Yeah.
Did you see that as part of it, even though it was inside, those that were trying to attend, like the general public, even if they had, I don't know if it's tickets, passes, whatever it is to get into the inauguration, there was like a 0 bag, 0 stroller. You couldn't.
Oh, into the
Capitol
One
building?
The Capitol One building?
Not into the building, just
arena?
just the like the inauguration grounds.
Mm-hmm.
Had it been outside, to get past the fenced off area,
Mm-hmm.
they were just leaving their stuff outside.
Yeah.
I mean, strollers, backpacks, purses. I mean, everything just piled up and almost looked like a.
Yeah, they did
almost
that
like a
one at the
memorial.
Capital One arena too.
In the arena also?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it all
Coming back
outside
up.
just for the outdoor stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see anything about the arena itself.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see a problem with it being inside to begin with, especially if the weather is really bad and stuff like that. I mean, it wasn't snowing, it wasn't raining, it wasn't sleeting or anything like that, but it did get to, what was it, like 6-degree wind chills or something like that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so the wind chill was pretty bad. So, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, we're going to make people comfortable for this event. Let's just go ahead and move it inside. But I still kind of think that there was a play by Secret Service to move him inside to make him a little bit of a harder target.
Right.
So that
more controllable area.
Yeah, more of a controlled area and stuff like that. So I kind of think that that's one of the main reasons why they moved it inside. But I mean,
Acoustics are great in there, though.
yeah.
Especially when they booed the Clintons when they came in.
Oh, I missed that part.
I didn't see that part.
Yeah,
I
they
caught
booed
it.
him.
I caught it like halfway through,
Yeah.
and I was just like, "Oh, okay." Like I missed the vice president being sworn in and stuff like that. I came in when Trump was doing his speech, and like nobody cheered, nobody stood up or anything like that. Especially like Harris and Biden, like they weren't standing up or anything like that.
Hey, but I want to know what Barron Trump said to Biden.
Yeah, did you see the look on his face after he came up and he said something that was only like 3 words, and then like Biden had like a shocked look on his face, and then Barron walked off and he did like a double take look back, and like he had like a serious look on his face, and I was just like, yo.
See, we need to start looking for the videos of the like those bad lip readers or something like that.
Yeah,
See
those are
how
going to
many
be
different things.
Those
they
are going to
come
be
up with.
out soon, eventually. Yeah. So.
And then Bush was there, just like looked like he just hit a molly or something. And Elon too. He was all doing this.
I think the funniest thing I've seen on social media so far is the Mark Zuckerberg when he was looking at what's her name's chest.
Looking down her shirt.
Yeah, he looks like he's never seen boobs before, and he's just like,
well, the fact that he did a double take, like he looks, and then he goes back to it again.
yeah, it's just like, whoa, okay. So
And super obvious too.
yeah, super obvious.
Didn't even try to hide it.
No.
Jeff Bezos' wife it's a different look from his other one, his ex-wife.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I didn't get to, so we're talking about, Zuck doing all that. I was catching on like the highlights or, reels or stories or whatever. I was driving back from Dallas. We just plugged the phone in. I was listening to it in the truck. So, I couldn't watch it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
hearing some of the stuff, it was just like, ooh, shots fired.
I didn't really watch a whole lot of it or anything. The one thing I was slightly impressed with, and I think it was his main problem, his first go around, was Trump would go into doing a speech and stuff, and I'm sure he had great speech writers. I mean, I'm pretty sure they wrote speeches that would rival any other president, like John F. Kennedy or anything like that. But Trump's problem was he would go into his speech and he'd get like 2 paragraphs in and he's all like, oh, I'm killing it. I don't need this anymore. And then he'd ramble off and say things that he wasn't supposed to say, or he didn't think about what he said, and it just made him look bad. I think that was his main problem. But I did catch his speech at this inauguration, and I think he killed it.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything that would make him look that bad.
No.
Everybody's going to say, oh, well, he's just a bad person and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But I personally, and this is just my opinion, I think his speech was really good. It was really thought out. He laid it down really well. He didn't sit there and say the same thing like 3 times, like, oh, China is like the greatest country. He's my best friend. China is really great. And, like he didn't do any of that. He
impression man.
I don't do a very good Trump, but anyway, he stuck to the script, and I think maybe, and I feel like 3-letter agencies monitor my phone because I say things and then things happen, but I think they took my idea of putting a shock collar around his thigh, and every time he started to go off script, they'd just shock him and be like, oh, yeah.
That's
And-
probably Melania, though. She probably had the button.
She probably had the button.
Right.
But, I mean,
I think the batteries ran out when he started doing the speech before the lunch, and he starts talking about our governor.
yeah, the
It's
speech.
like, oh, he's here.
The speech at
Oh,
his
yeah,
inauguration.
that was like a 20-minute love letter to Abbott.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Okay,
was
now you
was
see-
nuts.
Now you see how he like rambles off and he sticks on that one topic, but it just sounds weird. He didn't do that for his inauguration
No.
speech.
He was on point.
Yeah, he was on point. He was straight to the point. It made sense. It sounded good. But then he goes to the speech just before the luncheon, and it's just like, nope, there he is.
It was very repetitive.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
he's
what-
here.
that's
I
what
didn't
was
even know
thinking.
he was here. It's a good thing I'm saying good things about him.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many times he said that same phrase, but it was like, dude,
They what it
continue,
is.
move on.
What it is his speechwriters didn't have the follow-up speech for the luncheon, and that's where it all went wrong, in my opinion. That's what I think.
I think it's part of that, but I think it's also like, oh, here's Governor Abbott, almost like starstruck.
Yeah.
You know, so he's trying to address the people that are in attendance, those that are watching in, listening in, but he's trying to like kiss up to the governor. Say, oh, you're doing great things, and you know they're doing great things in Texas, and I don't even know he was here, and they're doing great things down there, and he just kept going on and on, and I was like, okay, what was the intent of the speech to begin with?
Right.
Like, what was the
I thought he was
topic?
going to sit on his lap. Hey, let's
Trump on
cruise
Abbott's
around.
or Abbott's on Trump's?
No, Trump on Abbott, man. Hey, let's go around the Capitol.
Let's take this for a spin.
There were some funny moments on the whole inauguration. You know, I think it was very classy when they did the military ball.
Yeah.
You guys seen that?
I didn't
I
see
didn't
all of
catch-
it, but I did hear about it, and I heard that it was really nice.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah, the military ball was really nice. I think a lot of the soldiers there, well, all of them basically was pretty happy to be there and to have a new commander in chief compared to what we used to have for 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, they look a lot more optimistic.
Yeah. So hopefully he keeps the same team, the same momentum going into this next presidency, because he's only been in office not even a week.
Less than a week.
Yeah, not even a
5
week.
days.
So, but that was one thing that I heard from a lot of people saying like, oh, well, he's going to ruin this country and he's going to do this and he's going to do that. But look at how things went after he won the election. I mean, he accomplished more in that month and a half, and he wasn't even in office yet. You know, I mean,
I think everyone was like, crap.
yeah. Like all of a sudden they had to like eat their own words.
The adults are here again.
Yeah. So
But it's like an installment of American Pride, you know, and his campaign, his presidency, he wants to be known as, you know, make America great again, you know, or put America first. You know, stop giving money out to these NGOs. You know what NGOs are, right?
No.
They're non-government agencies or non-government organizations.
Okay.
So an NGO, well, the government will pay these NGO groups money to do things for them, like go to Mexico and get these immigrants how to use the app, how to download it, and everything else. But since they did it, the government's not responsible for it. So when the Biden administration sent money to these NGOs, it's like, hey, you know, teach them how to get in here quicker, you know, and what to say to the Border Patrol agent,
Like
where to
immigration
go, and
coaches.
everything else. Yeah.
yeah.
But
They did it that way, so that way the government has plausible deniability.
Yeah,
Like,
that's-
oh, well, we're going to help you guys do this, but we don't want to put our name on it. And that's like,
that's
you
what
mean?
they did with the NGOs, NGO groups.
Okay.
So, but one NGO group got turned into a what is it? The cartels got turned into terrorist organizations.
Right. That Trump reclassified some of the cartels, if not all of them, in Mexico as terrorist organizations.
No, really? I didn't hear anything
Yeah.
about that. I don't follow politics day and night and stuff like that. So.
Yeah,
Well,
they
it's-
used to be Biden administration's NGOs.
Okay. So, yeah, but as far as the inauguration goes, I think it went very well. He didn't look as bad as people thought he was going to look, which I think is a good thing because I feel like there's a lot of division in this country, and I think the reason why I don't like politics and I don't follow it is back in the day, it was, this is what I can do for your country. This is what I can do for you as the middle class working man and this and that. And, you know, like it was a back and forth of this is what I can do. Well, I could do this, but I could do this a little bit better and this and that and all this other kind of stuff. But if you really look at politics now, it's just a pissing match.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, you know, your son is addicted to meth. And it's like, yeah, well, you said things about women and this and that, and you're a womanizer and this and that. It's trying to push more the blame and make the other guy look bad versus this is what I can do for you as a country.
Right.
You know, and that's one of the things like that. I think that's the main reason why I don't like politics.
Yeah.
Is it's
Well,
just a pissing
If you look
match.
at the Harris organization, all the people that she paid, like actors and movie stars, singers,
yeah,
and everything
like
else,
she had all these singers, you know, perform at her rallies and speeches and stuff like that, and it's just like I don't care that you were able to hire. I don't even know who she had. I don't know. I don't know.
Beyonce.
Yeah, you know,
everyone
I don't
else.
care that you hired them to do your rally. I want to know what you're going to do for me. How are you going to lower taxes
And she couldn't
so we're not
accomplish
being
that.
taxed to death?
Yeah, and she couldn't accomplish that.
You know?
They couldn't. I don't think either one of them really properly vocalized what they're going to do for us as middle class citizens.
Yeah.
It was all about, you know, the hot topics, you know, Second Amendment, immigration, inflation, you know, but there was nothing, you know, no actual policy talk as to how they're going to achieve things.
Yeah.
Well,
You know, it's like a high school.
One of Trump's that he said in his campaign was going to put tariffs. So it's not like charging a country and saying, hey, you know, we're going to put tariffs on imports that you bring to the United States. He put him in there saying, hey, you're a corporation that makes things on the outside of the United States, right? Because it's cheaper. And then bring it in and sell to us, the consumers. So he's like, you're going to do that? 25% tariff on you guys.
And because they're able to make it cheaper?
So he's doing that because
So they can start making it here.
exactly, because he
So
told
he's
corporations
trying to bring more jobs
Back.
here,
He's trying to bring them back to the
which
United
in
States.
turn would eventually bring the unemployment rate down.
Right.
and more jobs and more middle class working people. You know, not because the past 4 years, honestly, it's you're either rich or you're poor. You're barely making it.
Yeah.
You know, our credit card debt's like skyrocketing because people are charging stuff for like groceries and all this gasoline and everything
Yeah,
else
they're using their credit cards to
Live day to
off
day.
of.
to live.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the interest rates on credit cards are so high and everything like that. So it's like, well, where do we fall on being able to make it in this country? It's a lot harder to do so.
Yep, and then that shipping crisis, getting supplies over here and China shutting down production of stuff, which I think they did it on purpose just to punish us. So it was harder to get stuff over here. So the prices went up on a lot of goods that are actually made overseas, like Taiwan, China, Japan, and everything else. But all these corporations, they supply and demand, they increased all the prices, but they never brought it back down.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part is it's like gas, right? I mean, we all grew up when gas was $1 something a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
When I
Right.
got my driver's license, gas was like $1.28. I think $1.32, something like that.
Right. So oil prices have come back down to that same range, you know?
Yeah, it's like $1 more. Well, it's $1.25 more than what it was, back in the early 2000s.
Yeah. I mean, I filled up this morning for over $3, $3.09 on my side of town.
I think,
And it's like, but the cost of the barrel has come down, but they're not dropping the prices to match.
yeah,
They keep it high, so when the cost of the per barrel goes up again, they have that financial backing. They have that cushion to be able to buy it. And so that's what keeps everything up. It's never going to drop back down again because nobody really wants it to, except for the consumers.
Well, Trump told OPEC, decrease your prices, for oil. The reason is so Russia would stop making money for this war, because that's how they're funding this war,
Right.
is through profits through selling oil and everything else. But if you keep oil cheap, that's going to strangle the economy for Russia to keep buying stuff from North Korea and Iran, because they need bullets and missiles and drones and everything else. So if they're running out of money because the price of oil tanked, they're not going to stay in there long.
no,
They're going to struggle. Right now they're making bank on it. So that's why Trump asked Saudi Arabia, hey, I need a $600 billion investment, plus you need to drop the oil prices, basically. So he's trying to strangle, what is that new, I forget what it's called, where Iran and North Korea, Russia, Saudi Arabia, I think India, I forgot what it's called. It's not OPEC, it's the other one.
don't look at me.
I have no idea.
I forget.
The other
But
guys.
He's trying to stifle that. Okay, so where all these countries got together so they can start buying oil instead of buying it under the dollar, they can buy it under the yuan or the ruble or everything,
Right.
So you get it at those prices, not at the dollar price.
Well, the sad thing is that the U.S. dollar isn't even worth anything anymore.
It's, I mean, depending on where you're at, like $1 in California is, your purchasing power is like 80 something cents.
Yeah,
You go to Alabama, it's $1.13.
yeah,
Most of Texas is about $1, or it's about 90 something cents.
yeah.
It just depends on where you live on how much the dollar is worth, different places. But overall, it's gone down. But I think it's going to be stronger as far as like once our production for oil goes up, our production on goods and services go up, because Trump wants to bring businesses back and say, hey, we're not going to tariff you if you come back. We're going to cut your corporate tax. We're going to be the lowest in the world, so we're not going to tax you. So come back. Come back and hire Americans to do stuff, make washing machines and dryers and everything else, and that's what he wants to do.
Yeah. So he just wants to bring work back to the U.S. So one, it'll help out overseas companies by cutting their taxes and stuff like that. But it also brings back an American product, and it's cheaper for the consumer because you're not going to have to pay those tariffs to import those.
Yeah,
That's what they're hoping for.
That's what they're hoping for.
No.
Whether or not he can accomplish that, that's a different story.
No, I think it's going to end up almost being a wash. So it's okay, pay for the low labor rates out of the country and the tariff to bring the product back in, or pay to have it made here. So I think it's going to be almost like a wash. You know, whether they do it there or they do it here, do it there with tariffs or do it here without it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cost to the manufacturer is still going to be about the same.
Yeah. Well, if my thing is, and I hope they don't do it, is if he puts in the 25% tariff on these corporations, they're still going to ship it here and add the 25% markup.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to add the 25% markup to the product, so the consumer is going to be paying that tariff anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can keep their profit margins.
Yeah. Whether or not it'll play out that way, only time will tell. But I mean, well, let's see how it goes going into this next administration and see how things go. Hopefully,
the other thing they could do though is limit the amount that they bring in to avoid the tariff, which is just going to jack the price up here again. Anyway,
yeah,
supply and demand.
Yeah, but hopefully American companies can just come up and make the product even better, here and cheaper.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's, if would you rather get, a crayon that's made here in America that's cheaper because they didn't have to ship it or anything else, or, a crayon from like Temu. Yeah, that's going to be even more cheaper, but it's going to be crap.
yeah.
And it's going to be made out of like crappy pastel colors and everything else,
More wax than it is color.
All right.
Yeah. So, okay, Mike. So, what's the next thing on the list here?
Let's see. We can talk about the security clearances that Trump denied Fauci.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Oh,
at all,
not
so.
the clearances. The
And John Bolton.
The
Well, no, he canceled their security clearance and the security detail.
that's the one I heard about was the security detail.
Oh, I think we were listening to that earlier or something like that, and he was talking about, oh, well, if you don't work for the government anymore, you don't need a security detail or something like that.
Right.
Is that what he was saying?
Like if you're rich enough to do X, Y, and Z, you're rich enough to provide your own security.
Right.
yeah.
It's kind of like one of those old, you made your bed, now lay in it.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
that
I don't know anything on that. I just overheard it earlier. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, I know they voted for Fauci and someone else's name, but it
John
didn't.
Bolton.
John Bolton.
Mm-hmm. And some other ones. I don't know who their name. They're not big names, but yeah, he's went and cleaned house of people's security clearances and security detail to save the American dollar. Save the taxpayers' money.
Yeah, I mean, if they're as rich as they are and there's threats to them, I mean, I don't wish any ill will on anybody, but at the same time, it's like you got that much money, you could either one, change your lifestyle, to where you're not out in public and become a target, so to speak, if there are credible threats. Two, do like some of these celebrities did and leave.
Right.
Go overseas, go to Australia or England where firearms aren't allowed.
Yeah, I mean, they can go to England and where guns aren't allowed, but then they can't have steak knives or anything like that either. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
All right. What about immigration?
the immigration? And this is kind of an odd topic, especially for me, just because, well, I'm not an immigrant, but living on a border city, we do have immigrants come through our fences and everything like that quite often. They put up signs on the loop saying, watch out for pedestrians and stuff like that.
Watch for unexpected pedestrians.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard stories of, they'll purposely run out in front of your car so you hit them, and then now they get to stay and they get free medical. Well, they get free medical already, but they get medical, and then like they're able to sue you.
They could stay longer before being deported.
Yeah. So that's like, for them, it's like running across the highway is like playing the lottery, except you get hit by a car.
Yeah.
So, I don't know about that. That's kind of a touchy subject for a lot of people.
But what I've seen, and I don't watch like one channel. I watch all the media. All right. Some of the media is stoking the fire that people here that are not documented should be scared for their life. And it's not that way. It's Trump's getting rid of gang members, MS-13, rapists, murderers, that people that, Venezuela, they cleaned out their prisons and sent them all here because it's cheaper for them because, housing or imprisoning a human being is expensive. So as to cut costs, they were like, hey, see you later. Don't come back. Go to America.
Wasn't that how they founded Australia? Is England sent all their criminals and prisoners and all that there to be rid of them, so they don't have the financial burden and responsibility of housing these inmates.
Yeah.
So they sent them all to Australia, and that's how Australia became populated. Of course, besides the indigenous, but it's almost like Venezuela is trying to do the same thing here. Is just send them all over there.
See, my thinking is, and this is again just my opinion, but I think of it as one, you shouldn't be able to skip the line from people that are, they paid their money, they're hiring an attorney, they're going through all the channels, they're doing all the paperwork to come to this country legally.
Right.
Now, the U.S. was founded on immigration. Okay. But if you're going to do it, you got to do it the right way.
Right.
Okay. If you want to come to this country, great, fine, perfect, awesome. But go through the proper channels. Do it the right way. I don't think it's fair for somebody who worked for 15 years to save up money to be able to put in an application to come to the U.S., to hire an attorney, to do the background checks, all that kind of stuff. And their application is being pushed back because of the immigration situation that we have. And their application keeps getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back because the U.S. is being overrun and flooded with immigrants that, they're halting all the applications.
Right.
And plus they're getting, us taxpayers have got to pay for it. We got to pay for their medical, anything that's wrong with them. We're paying for that. They were giving them money just for food. I think it was like up in New York, like $1,200 a month. They're giving them a debit card to go buy food, clothes, whatever they needed. They got a cell phone.
In New York, they were putting them up in hotels. Like hotels were like, oh no, we don't have any.
They were doing that here.
We don't have any open rooms or anything like that for like this foreseeable future.
They were doing that here.
Yeah. Were they?
Yeah.
Man, I didn't even know that.
There's times I'd be on this side of town and didn't want to drive home after the party or after whatever. Try and book a hotel, and every single one of them would be booked.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, like I said, this country was founded on immigration, and I think that if you want to come to the U.S., great, perfect, come on, but do it the right way. Just because you jump a fence and made it across the highway doesn't mean that you can be here. And another way that I look at it is think about it as like a zombie apocalypse, right? Okay, if you just come across people and you start letting them into your camp and you don't know if they're bit, it's going to turn badly, right? If you start letting in immigrants illegally and you don't know who these people are,
they're not vetted.
They're not vetted. So, it's going to turn badly. There was a case, I think it was in New York or Chicago, one of those two places, where an immigrant, he even said, no, I'm an illegal immigrant and this and that. He stabbed a woman, 28 times and killed her. Well, he has a criminal record. Had he had been vetted, gone through the application process and everything like that, we would have known that he was a criminal. He had a violent past and everything else. And that young woman would still be alive.
Right.
So.
And some of these sanctuary cities are not putting out detainers. So ICE can come pick them up. They're like New York, Chicago. I don't know about LA or anything else, but they were releasing these these immigrants for, battery, rape, I think murder too, if I'm not mistaken. I think there was one that got released for murder.
Well, I think I heard at one point they're like, well, it wasn't done here, so when they got here, it's like a clean slate.
But
And
that's
it's like,
that's
really?
not, it's not a clean slate because obviously they're a violent person and they have a violent past.
Right, but it's one of those like, oh, they didn't do it here, so and in the sanctuary series and stuff like that, well, they didn't commit any crimes here, so it's okay. And that's
Yeah, they might change in a different environment than, what they lived in the ghettos over there in Venezuela or Guatemala or Honduras.
But yet that's not a solid argument because they lived in the ghettos and in the slums and stuff like that. And they come to the U.S., they're having a better lifestyle on the taxpayer's dime. Why would you turn around and commit murder?
Right.
well,
can't
that's,
help
kind
themselves.
that's kind of their logic.
Yeah.
Is you have a better life here. Why would you do that again?
Yeah.
So they try to give them the, I guess you call it like the benefit of the doubt, but it's like they still did it.
Like I said, I think if you want to come to the country, great, perfect. But you got to be vetted first. You got to make sure that you're not bit and you're not going to come into our camp and infect everybody else.
Yeah.
That's basically that's the way I see it.
I don't. The thing that I agree with, whether they're good people or not, waited their turn or not, I don't believe that non-citizens should have more. I don't want to call them handouts, but it's like, so I work, I pay my taxes, I do all this stuff.
You pay taxes.
It comes out of my check automatically. I got no choice.
All right.
But yet they don't do anything. And like you said, here's $1,200 for food. Here's a phone. Here's free health insurance. Why do they have better benefits
Than anybody else.
than I do?
Yeah.
It's kind of like with the veterans. We should still be treating our veterans.
They're the ones
Better.
who get a $1,200 check, no matter what.
They served the country. They did something for the
Honorable
country.
discharge, automatically $1,200 a month for the rest of your life, and a free cell phone.
Yeah. I mean, give
With an
it to our vets before you give it to, I guess we could say it now, illegal immigrants, illegal aliens. It's yes, they went through a lot to get here, but like you said, if you do it the right way, it's kind of like growing up in I was brought up in a religious household. They talk about abstinence, stuff like that. Wait till marriage. That if it's worth it, wait for it. It's the same thing like you're talking about. If it's worth it, if it means that much to you, do it the right way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that simple.
Because this whole country is based on rules and laws and everything like that. And coming over illegally and stuff like that, it's against the law. Everybody on the opposite side is like, oh, well, no, they're not breaking any laws because they're what did
Asylum seekers.
Yeah.
Right.
Who was it that said that? That was
AOC.
yeah.
But
But she's all like, oh, well, they're not breaking the law because they're asylum seekers. Okay, but they came across through a non-checkpoint
Right.
and were caught by Border Patrol. They're not
Yeah, they
asylum
didn't-
seekers.
There's
they didn't
specific
enter
criteria.
Through, yeah, you have to enter through the port of entry,
Yeah,
not over a wall.
yeah.
You
But
know.
a lot of the ones that were getting caught over a wall,
Not in an
We're like,
access
oh,
gate
well-
in a wall. That's not a port of entry. Gate 32 on the border is not a port of entry.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
It's a door inside the gate
Yeah.
or a gate inside the fence.
it's just an access gate. But
Right.
the Biden administration was treating it as, like a welcome center.
Well-
Here's a ride to the immigration so we can get your Social Security and get you a court date and send you on your way. Here's a free plane ticket and stuff.
Yeah.
And they were doing that before it even made national news. People are like, why these flights coming to these small-ass airports at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and there's a ton of, Hispanic people getting off, he was doing, when he first got in, that was the first year. I mean, they were just shipping people, and those weren't people just crossing the border. These were these were direct flights out of Mexico, Honduras. These were direct flights.
So they didn't even have to come through a port of entry or
No.
climb over a wall or use a coyote
like you were saying,
or anything like
those
that.
groups or the
NGOs.
NGOs, we're just going and picking them up.
Yep.
Here, let me save you the time. Let me save you the hassle. You don't have to deal with the border fence or the border wall or the lines or the checkpoints. We'll just go ahead and bring you over.
Now, you guys ready for another tinfoil hat conspiracy that I had rattling around in my head? I think the reason why they were doing that was because they wanted to do away with voter ID. And I think their plan was, if we bring in all these illegal immigrants,
Flood the market.
and we bring all these people in and we tell them, look, we were the ones that did this for you. We were the ones that brought you here. We are the ones that are giving you asylum. Who do you think they're going to vote for if there's no voter ID?
No, you know how far back that practice goes?
No. I don't. Like I said, I don't follow politics. This is just an idea that I had floating in my head.
You're not wrong, and you can see this in what's that Tom Cruise movie where he's the Irish immigrant coming over, lands in New York, and they all like race out to choose their plot of land with Nicole Kidman.
Talladega Nights?
No,
Oh, no.
I know what you're talking about.
and anyway, they did the same
Isn't that
thing,
Far and Away or something like that?
something like that. I mean, as they were getting off the boats, there in New York or along the coast, you had these. I guess you'd almost look at them now as like mob bosses or cartel leaders or union leaders. They were there. Hey, come over here. Do you have a place to stay? You just got here. I got this apartment for you. You need a job? Here, you go work for me. You could do this. You could do this. Don't forget who gave you a job, who put food on your table. When it's time to vote, make sure you vote for me.
Yeah.
And it's been going back, since people were coming into, Liberty Island, or not Liberty Island,
Ellis Island.
Ellis Island.
Yeah.
It goes all the way back to then, and it's all about political. So it's not a tinfoil hat. That's standard practice.
Conspiracy theory wins.
My conspiracy of it is they were trying to pack a lot of these areas and a lot of red states with a bigger population, because if you fill those red states with the bigger population, then when they do the census,
They get more.
you
federal
have more
funding.
people, so you need more representatives.
Yeah. Which is more electoral votes.
That's a solid theory right there. Yeah.
But it's also the higher census, the more federal government money you get for the state, and it could be distributed more and stuff like that.
Well, it's not just for the red states, but for the blue states too.
Right.
The higher the census, then the more money they get from the federal government. So
It's kind of like idiocracy. The smart people stop breeding, and all the idiots
Yeah, I kind of
bred
feel like,
out and
I kind of feel like
thinned out the gene pool.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that movie is kind of starting to become a little more and more realistic. Yeah,
Especially with the Crocs.
yeah.
I
So I don't own a pair of Crocs because I haven't given up on getting any, but I should, but I haven't. So, but did you know that Crocs made their debut because of that movie, and that's the
Yeah.
one movie that got Crocs to launch?
The producers went out, wanted to find the dumbest looking shoes. Found
possible.
Crocs, and it took off from there.
And Crocs were being made in some dude's garage.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, well, we need I think their first initial order was like 200 or something like that.
Yeah.
And they brought them to the costume designers found them and they brought them to the production team. And the production team was like, oh my God, these shoes look so stupid. Nobody would ever wear these. Go ahead and order 500 more.
Yeah.
And then they ordered like 1,000 more.
That's what launched Crocs.
And that's what launched Crocs. And now Crocs are like the second highest selling footwear out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
And they have accessories.
Yes, and they have like little charms that go on the shoes and stuff, and it's just
Or the headlights.
okay. Well, I've got a brother that's got the headlights, but it does kind of make sense because he'll take his trash out to the trash can, and he's just like, oh, I'm just gonna put my Crocs on, and he turns on his little Croc lights and stuff, and he walks his trash out to the dumpster and throws it, and then walks back, and he's all like, I can see everything with them, and I'm just like. Okay.
It's like the adult version of the kids' light up shoes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one thing I hate about being an adult now is when you get new shoes, nobody asks you if you can run fast in them.
Yeah.
Being an adult is stupid and it's overrated. So, but I mean, I think the only pair, if I ever did get a pair, would probably be the ones that have like the fuzzy lining on the inside. Because in the wintertime, those look like they would probably keep your feet warm.
Or those frocks.
I don't know. My brother's got a pair of them, but like they're camoed and everything like that. And I was like, okay, those look pretty cool. I would probably buy a pair of those.
Does the fuzz stick out little holes?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. But like the inside is like, think about like house slippers. Mm-hmm. You know how they're like fuzzy on the inside to like keep your feet warm, especially like right now. And it's like, I think we looked at the temperature before we started and it was like 40 degrees. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like those would keep your feet nice and warm while you're sitting on the couch watching like,
Netflix and chill.
Yeah. By yourself. But I mean, you know, like those would probably be the only pair of Crocs I would ever buy. And I would only use them for like 3 months out of the year. And that's when it's like 40 degrees
you say
outside.
That now. Right, you're gonna buy you some winter fuzzy Crocs.
I don't think I'll ever
and come
buy.
the summer, you're gonna be like, "Ooh, I got this new pair."
No, I don't think I'll ever buy me a pair of Crocs. And I swear, I will hit you with something hard if you guys buy me a pair of Crocs for Christmas next year or something.
When's your birthday again?
Yeah. Well, see, here's what we do: we'll pitch in, buy you a pair of Crocs, and be like, "Okay, do you run faster now?" Put them in 4x4 mode, and now do you run faster?
Okay.
So now we can ask you twice.
Have you guys ever seen? It's a Netflix show called The Ranch.
Yes.
Okay, you remember when Bo puts on the Uggs, and he's like, "Man, these are nice and comfortable."
Exactly.
And then like Colt comes downstairs, and he's like, "The fuck is on your feet?" And he's like, "I slipped and fell into them." And he's like, "Uh-huh." But then he like loves the Uggs. I don't know if it's going to be like that. I kind of don't want to find out. But, I mean, I just think they're goofy looking.
You know, sometimes you just got to slip into something new and take it for a spin and see how it feels.
They remind me like Smurf shoes.
Smurf shoes, yeah. Yeah. Dude, they make Croc boots.
Croots.
Croots?
Yeah.
Yes.
They're cowboy boots, but they're Crocs. That's how I lost all faith in humanity at that point. I saw those and I was just like, no.
I know I'm kind of admitting this to, all of our viewers, but if they made them in my size, I would rock a pair of Croots and go to a country bar. Just because honestly, it's kind of my FAFO, with my size, people tend to think twice before being stupid.
Well, yeah, you are like 12 feet tall.
But if I were to go to a country bar and wear a pair of Croots, it's like, okay, what's the over under on who says something or how many people say something, like directly?
Well, I mean, if Andre the Giant wore Crocs, you wouldn't say shit to him.
Exactly.
No, and I don't think anybody would ever say anything to you, just for the simple fact that if you had to lay down some fists.
I don't think they want a pair of Croots up their...
Yeah. And it's just like they show up to their car meet or whatever next week and they're like, dude, where'd you get that black eye from? Well, I mouthed off to a guy in a bar and he kicked me in the face with his Croots.
Was his name Adam Schiff?
The fucker Croots. Yeah.
But they come with spurs. I mean...
Are they metal spurs or are they plastic?
Either way, they would be very uncomfortable to try to remove from
somebody's forehead.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. That's that topic. All right, moving on from Croots. What's next?
That's it, basically, for as far as politics go. I mean, right now, Trump has visited North Carolina. FEMA kind of forgot about them. Now he's in California. Had a little scuffle with the mayor there.
What do you mean by
Saying that-
scuffle?
The mayor or the governor?
The governor. No. The mayor. So he was at the table telling her, hey, if you want to do something, you can do it right now. You have the power to put the order in right now to do it. Why are you guys taking forever? And like some of these, he's like, I was talking to some of these homeowners standing in front of their burnt down house and they want to start clearing, but you guys won't let them. Well, now being a week, sir, it would be about a week. He's like, no, why can't they do it now? Because all California is going to, or the city of Los Angeles is going to do is go approve a contractor. Then they have to get their environmental, approvals to make sure they're doing it environmentally friendly, and then go clear their house. And she was like, well, it's unsafe for them to do it. And he's like,
but this is also the state of California where they're having the fires and everything like that right now. And last I saw, I think they said that they were, one area was like 96% contained. Another one was like 54 or 56%
I haven't heard or
contained.
seen any containment
I saw
stats.
something online about it because I'm planning a trip to California. I'm not going to stay. But I was like, well, I wonder if the area that I'm going to is still going to be there. And so I looked it up and stuff like that. And this is the same state that's on fire. And I think it was, what was it? It was it Denver, Oregon, and I think Washington or something like that. Like several other surrounding states sent like 56 fire trucks to help battle the fires and everything.
Yeah.
And California stopped them and sent them to, I think it was Sacramento or something like that, because the fire trucks did not have their smog certification.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So they send fire trucks to fight wildfires, but the state stops them because they don't have their smog certification.
Right.
So now they
to
have
fight
to
a
go
fire that's just burning.
to fight a fire that's emitting pollutants into the air.
Right. I mean,
Do you
did
wanna
the fire
sit
have
here-
its certification?
Do you want to sit here and spend all this time trying to get 56 fire trucks certified for smog and whatnot? Or do you just want to let your state continue burning, releasing more pollutants into the air?
Well, I'm surprised they didn't stop them because their water wasn't ethically sourced and they didn't think of the pond scum before, siphoning the water out.
I guess. I don't know. But, I mean, not only do they need a smog certification to go into the state of California, but they also have to get it retested and certified when they're leaving the state of California.
But they're leaving.
Exactly. So what is the point of that? It's like, oh, I need help, but I don't want your help.
Oh, what's that reel or video where they call 911, but they don't want an armed officer because, they don't believe in firearms and all this other stuff. And it's like, well, we don't have any of those, so good luck.
Like they want like a caseworker
Pretty
kind of
much.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of that because I don't trust people anymore. I look both ways on a one-way street.
Yep. I did that yesterday.
Okay. And mainly because when I make that left and everybody else is going the wrong way, it's like, really?
It's like leaving a parade.
when I went to driver's ed, they told me no matter if it's a one-way, two-way, four-lane highway, you always look left and right. Look at the person that's going to hit you the soonest, and then right the second person, no matter what street it is.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking
Look left, look right, look left again. Look right, look left, look
Like,
right again.
I have very little faith in humanity anymore because people are just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And not to touch back too much on the subject of the immigration and like what they're capable of and stuff like that. But, some of them are that. And then some of them are just people that, are not mentally well.
No.
And I think that's a big problem in our country right now, is just people are just not mentally well, that, they're able to hurt people. And to ask somebody who is unarmed to respond to a situation of, say, domestic violence is a very dangerous call.
Yeah.
And,
most cops want to go to a bank robbery or like an armed robbery or something like that, carjacking, but they hate domestic calls.
Yeah, because you
Domestic violence.
On those calls, you know what you're going into. Mm-hmm. On a domestic, you have no idea.
Oh yeah, no, you have zero idea if the guy is going to be cool, and then the lady is going to turn around and try to stab you in the back with a butcher knife. Like you don't know what's going to happen on a domestic violence call.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And to ask a caseworker to go in unarmed, untrained, I'm assuming untrained for domestic violence calls, that's
the
just
physical aspect of it.
Yeah, the physical aspect of it, but the mental aspect of like, oh, well, did he hit you? Did he do this? Did he do that? Like a counselor kind of deal.
Right.
Like they're trained for that. But to go hands-on and detain somebody, or God forbid you have to pull a firearm and defend yourself or another person, like these caseworkers are not trained for that. They're not ready for that.
Right.
Most cops are not ready for that. I know some officers in the department that have gone 2 weeks after leaving their FTO, and they get put on a domestic violence call, and they're like, man, I'm rethinking this whole ordeal.
Yeah.
And they just want to leave, which is going to bring our officers down. Like
Right.
the staffing that we have for officers is going to
As
bring
slim
them
as
down.
it already is.
As slim as it already is. I mean, they're putting out ads for the police department and offering, I think I saw something about like offering a sign-on bonus for them, and it's just like, okay, you're pulling military tactics to get people to join the police department.
Right.
Most people should be, I want to join the police department because I want to make a difference,
Yeah.
And now it's more like, hey, if you join our police department, you get not a 401k, but we'll give you like a 102k. It's like a little retirement plan, and we'll give you like a $5,000 sign-on bonus if you come and join the police department, if you make it through the training.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, well, I need the money because there's no jobs in right now. Everything is being, this, that, everything else. And my train of thought derailed. A lot of these people are just like, oh, well, I guess that's what I'll do. We have a friend that comes onto the show, and he joined the department from a dare.
Yeah.
But he is the kind of person that wants to help people.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's what we need more of is, people that want to join, whether it be the police department or sheriff's office or, the highway patrol or whatever. And, they want to help people.
Well, see, my thing is through Obama years, a lot through the Trump years, especially with the media, they treated law enforcement like they did the vets coming back from Vietnam.
Yeah.
And now they're not doing it as much, and they're treating the law enforcement more like the vets coming home from the Gulf Wars. So it's hard to have veteran police or law enforcement, not just the police, but veteran law enforcement's there because a lot of them left. They said, screw this, and they left.
I I've known a couple, I think, that have like quit the force and became teachers or something.
And I know what you're talking about, and I feel like a lot of that happened, and this is going to be a sore subject for some people, but I kind of feel like a lot of that happened after the whole George Floyd thing.
That was before that.
Well, yeah, a lot of it was before that, but when the George Floyd thing happened, every cop in the country had a bullseye painted on his back.
Yeah.
Because everybody thought that every single cop was going to be the exact same way.
Right.
And that's when we started with the whole defund the police and this and that and everything else. But yet a lot of these people that are like, oh, defund the police and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Cops get dispatched to a domestic violence call because their boyfriend beats them or whatever. And so now you're like, oh, well, I need a cop to come to my house because my boyfriend hit me. Well, you're the type of person that just sat here 2 hours ago on TikTok or Instagram or whatever saying defund the police.
Well, what it became is what used to be, let's say a 5-minute response time, because of now officers have quit the force or because of, the various reasons their staffing isn't what it should be or what it used to be. Now it's a 15, 20-minute wait time, until an officer is freed up because, sorry, you defunded us. We don't have the resources we used to maintain our staffing. Or they show up and they're not properly trained to handle that situation. Well, you defunded them. That funding went to training.
Now I would say
now you lose that.
I would say some of it. There's some good that came out of it, though. Okay, you got to look positively about it. There was more training on officers how to deal with human beings, basic human beings. There's a lot of officers that are from the military and they're like, direct, and
they have that drill sergeant mentality kind of deal. And
well, not that. It's not. They're going from this is a target in front of you to this is a fellow citizen, a human being in front of you. They're not just an anonymous target or, someone to be eliminated. This is somebody that, you need to treat correctly.
Everybody, they walk into a situation, everybody's a threat.
Right.
Until otherwise. Now everybody should be a human being until they become a threat.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think there's some good that, some police forces did some extra training on how to communicate better with people, how to
more along the lines of like, what is it? Like sensitivity training kind of deal. Like how to
like calm down a situation.
De-escalation.
Yeah. De-escalation. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. So there is some good of it, but there was, funding was cut and everything else. Response time sucked. Their officers started dropping out and everything else. So there wasn't just not a lot of people. So
yeah, and they, at the same time though too, you also had a lot of officer fatigue because they were doing all this extra overtime covering shifts and stuff like that. The officers themselves were burnt out. So when they had these calls, they weren't at their best. So they would, they made mistakes. I'm not talking about the Floyd ones. I'm just talking, police in general.
Yeah.
Mistakes were made and, people got, may have been injured that shouldn't have been, whether they were bystanders or not.
But when cops make a mistake, it's
it's national news.
Well, it's national news, but it's life or death.
But it is life or death, yeah.
It's not like,
your cook
a baker forgot. Yeah, a baker put too much salt in their bread or something. It's a mistake. These are life or death mistakes.
Yeah.
These are people's freedoms that have been taken away with their records, and they can't do stuff because it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't handled the right way.
Correct.
Yeah. It could have been handled differently, but it wasn't handled the way that it should have been handled.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Right.
But I think in general, most, if not all, cops are good. There's bad apples out there. I'm glad some people are weeding them out. I'm glad some of these police forces are getting more veterans because they've been in there for a while to teach these new people.
Right.
You know, because we lost a
Higher
lot
retention rates.
Yeah, we lost a lot of veteran because of the Floyd. So we had a bunch of rookies out there trying to do their best, and now they've been trained and experienced, and I hope they teach these new rookies in law enforcement. Hey, this you got to do right by the citizens, not protecting your job or your so you won't be sued and everything else.
Yeah. Well,
if they do it the right way, I mean, they hopefully wouldn't be getting sued and all that.
Yeah.
To begin with, so it kind of benefits everybody.
And there is a YouTuber, I can't think of his name right now, but he left his department because he was afraid that if he made a mistake, whether it be a large or a small, that his department would hang him out to dry.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think that a lot of the law enforcement officers that have left the departments and stuff like that probably left because of the same reason.
Because the DAs that were putting into these cities, they were back like George Soros, and I mean, there's documentation. That's not tinfoil stuff. There's documentation. George Soros put money into hiring these DAs, and they were going after cops. They can look at a citizen the wrong way, or not if they put the handcuffs on too tight, there would be charges against them for cruelty or whatever. They had no backing, so they were scared. They're like, "Yeah, screw this, I'm out."
No,
I can't do my job.
Yeah, and I think that we should, next time you get pulled over, thank a cop, because his job's not easy.
No,
and for a lot of the officers that are out there that are thinking about leaving the force or anything like that, or not. I don't want to say force because it's aggressive.
The department.
Mm-hmm.
The department. I mean, I'm a law-abiding citizen for the most part.
they just haven't been caught yet.
Exactly. It's not illegal until you get caught.
Right.
So, but no, I think personally, me, I think any officer that's out there that is trying to make a difference in the community itself, like me personally, I thank you for everything that you do, your service to the community and everything like that. To the ones that are out there that are on an ego trip or a bad apple or whatever, it's more like, hey, you need to shape up and, fly straight. You took an oath to protect the citizens of the city that you represent. And, but for the most part, all the officers that I know, they want to help people.
Yeah, they're on the up and up.
Yeah, they're on the up and up. Yeah. There are a couple. I did get pulled over once, and it was by DPS, and that guy was just, I don't know if he was just having a bad day, and everybody's entitled to have a bad day. I have bad days. Yeah. I'm sure you have them, and maybe he was just having a bad day that day or something like that, but that dude was a dick. And just the way that he talked, and I mean, he did everything short of, after I signed my ticket, I think it was for not wearing a seatbelt or going like 2 miles an hour over the speed limit or something like that. He did everything short of, just after I signed the ticket, just taking it and throwing it in my window and turning around and walking off. Yeah. Like, he was just a jerk. And, I think that was like the worst encounter that I've ever had with a law enforcement officer. I think the funniest one I ever had was, I was in a left turn lane, and I was making the left turn, and I didn't notice that there was a sheriff's deputy behind me. And I made the turn, and he lit me up, and I pulled over and took out my driver's license, my LTC, everything like that. And he's like, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" And I was like, "No, I'm pretty sure I wasn't speeding. I was just going through an intersection." And he told me, well, you were in the left turn lane and you didn't have your blinker on. I really wish I could make this up, but I swear to God, I responded with, well, I was in a turn only lane, so I kind of thought it was self-explanatory.
Where else? If it was El Paso, this is El Paso. So you may be in the left lane and trying to turn right, or you may be trying to go straight because you didn't realize you were in the left turn lane.
Which is why I have very little faith in humanity, remember?
Yes.
So, but I told him, I was like, well, I was in a left turn only lane, so I kind of thought it was self-explanatory, so I didn't think about turning on my blinker. And he kind of laughed a little bit, and he's like, well, that is a valid point, but you still need to use your turn signals when you're turning, whether it's left or right or anything like that. And I was like, okay, well, I'll do that next time. And he's like, okay, do you, are you wanted or anything like that? Do you have any guns, knives, grenades, bazookas? And I was just like, I wish. And he's all like, okay, well, I told him, I have my gun with me. And he's all like, oh, okay, well, where is it? And I was like, well, it's in my door because I'm kind of chubby, so I don't appendix carry when I'm sitting down. And he's like, okay, well, just go ahead and leave it right there. And then, I'll run you. And if you come back clean, then, I'll just give you a verbal warning, it's just something simple. And I'll, send you on your way. He goes back to his unit, and he's in his unit for like 5-6 minutes. And I was like, ooh, that's not a good sign. And I sat there and I started thinking about, recent life choices and stuff. And I was just like, I don't think I have any tickets or anything. I haven't gotten a ticket in like 15 years.
You're probably like,
knock on wood there.
Probably this person owns this firearm, this firearm, this firearm, this firearm.
Dude, he was scrolling.
Yeah, he'd have been scrolling. Databases at NASA and NORAD would be kicking online and been like, wow, he's got one of those. Nice, That was like the nicest encounter I've ever had. I did have an encounter once, and I don't know if I should tell this story to our viewers or not, but I wasn't guilty. Okay. But I did.
Save it for the tracers.
I could put it on this one because we're talking about the law enforcement and stuff like that. But I did get arrested once for having a firearm in my vehicle. We were going, it was a friend's birthday. We were going down to the farm and we were going to go, hang out, drink beer, shoot some guns, camp out, that kind of stuff. Because we were going to be drinking, so we're not going to be driving or anything like that. We're just going to go camp out. And so I pull into the 7-Eleven right there in Fabens.
Yeah.
And I pull in and I was like, all right, well, let's get some ice and, some snacks and stuff like that. So we got munchies and stuff like that out in the desert. And all of a sudden I see red and blue lights bouncing off the wall in front of me. And I was like, what is that? And I looked back and there's a sheriff's deputy behind me. To this day, I still don't know why I got pulled over. Like, he never told me, hey, I stopped you because
you were in a right turn only lane and didn't use a right turn signal.
Yeah, you were in a right turn only lane and you had your left turn signal on or whatever. And so, I give him my driver's license. This was before I had my LTC. And I give him my driver's license. He's like, okay, are there any weapons in the vehicle? And I was like, well, yeah, I got like 222s. I got, this, that. I got a couple of shotguns. I got a handgun underneath my seat. And he's all like, he looks inside the car and he's like, okay, well, go ahead and stay right here. So he goes back to his unit and he's in his unit for close to 10 minutes or whatever. And one of my friends was like, oh man, I'm going to jail. And I was like, oh God, don't tell me that, dude. He had unpaid tickets in California or something like that. So the cop comes up, takes him out of the vehicle and pulls out my other friend, puts both of them in handcuffs, put them in a unit. Then he comes up to my side, he opens my driver's side door and he's like, go ahead and step out, put your hands on the vehicle. And I was like, okay, well, he's pulling me out of the vehicle because he knows that there's firearms in play.
His own protection.
Yeah. So he's going to pat me down because he knows firearms are in play. And then he's just going to tell me what's going on. So I put my hands on the trunk of the car and I hear the cuff case open. And I was like, that's not a good noise. And it is unsettling when you hear it and you're just like, oh God.
It's kind of like growing up and hearing your dad's belt clear the belt loop.
Oh yeah, no, that's like a scary feeling. And so he pulls out his cuffs and he puts one cuff on and he's all like, "You're being placed under arrest for unlawful carry of a concealed weapon." And I was like, "What?" I was like, and I still remember this law. You guys can look it up. But after September 1st of 2002, you're allowed to carry a firearm in your vehicle regardless of your destination because your vehicle is considered an extension of your home.
In Texas.
In Texas, which
The
is where this
Castle
took place.
The Castle Doctrine.
Yeah. And the cop turned around and he didn't put the other cuff on yet. And he was just like, "Well, I don't know what law you're talking about, but we don't have one like that in Texas." I took my other hand, I put it behind my back, and I was like, "Fuck it, take me to jail. This is going to be fun." We were arrested. I think it was like 7:45-ish at night. And I didn't go in front of a magistrate until 3:30 in the morning.
Oof.
The arresting officer would sit there and this is a story on bad cops because this is where cops need to learn new laws or training or something like that because this could have been prevented had he have known.
Right.
And we went to the substation that's over here, and other deputies would walk in and he'd be like, "Oh, hey, go in that room and tell me how many UCWs are there." And the other officers would go in and they'd be like, "Oh man, there's like five. And he's like, "Yeah, I got these guys down in Fabens." And he said he was going to private property. They were going to go hunting. And I found like a bag full of ammo and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. Like he thought he had like this big, huge bust and everything like that. Like he arrested like a big cartel member or something. And I'm just like, dude, I'm just a farmer, man. Come on. And this rookie comes in and he's like, "Hey, go in there and tell me how many UCWs are there." He walks into the room. He's gone like 2 seconds. Comes back out. And he's like, "One, if that. Why? What's going on?" He's like, "Oh, I caught these guys down in Fabens and they had all these guns in their cars." And he says he owns property and stuff like that. And they're going to go to his property and stuff. And the rookies are like, "They could do that. Like, that's not against the law. Like, why are you arresting them? Did they have like drugs or something on them?" "No, they just had guns in their car." He can do that. And he's like, "No, they can't." So the rookie leaves and he goes and gets a book. He comes back like 5 minutes later, and I'm watching this through the holding cell window.
Right.
And they cuff one cuff to your belt loop because they take your belt and your shoelaces and stuff like that. Because in case you're like, "Oh, I'm suicidal and I want to kill myself now." So I'm standing there and I have one hand like cuffed to the back of my pants, and I'm sitting here and I'm watching him through the window, and the rookie hands him a book and he's like, "No, see right there." So the arresting officer and like 3 other officers stand around him and he starts reading the book and he's got like this shit-eating grin on his face. And the further down he gets, the less that grin is there. And he said, and I quote, and I could say this because he's not an officer anymore, and I'll tell you why. He said, "Nah, put that away. I'll make it stick."
Yeah, that's crap.
Yeah. So that, in my book, is a bad officer that should not be there.
Right.
So the shift change was at like 2:30, 3 o'clock, something like that. And it wasn't even the arresting officer that took me in front of a magistrate. But this also goes to show that our representatives need, to be held accountable as well. Because I got in front of the magistrate, I think it was the rookie that took me. And the magistrate sat there and he's like, "Oh, unlawful carry of a concealed weapon. That's a felony with a bond of $100,000, I think." And the rookies, I told the magistrate, I was like, "Actually, sir, if I can correct you," and I told him the statute and everything like that. And he's like, "Well, I don't know about that." And the rookie hands the magistrate the book and says, "Actually, sir, he's right." And the magistrate looked at it and he's all like, "Huh, I'll be damned. Okay, well, I would love to just let you go, but I don't know exactly where the firearm was," which, by the way, you had to look, and this just goes to show how old this case is. You had to look between the registration and the inspection sticker to look underneath the seat to see the handle
Right.
of the gun. And he's like, well, I'd love to let you go, but I don't know exactly where it was and this and that and all this other kind of stuff. So I'm
Doesn't matter where it was.
It doesn't matter where it was.
It's in your vehicle.
Yeah. And so he's all like, well, I'm going to reduce your bond from $100,000 to $100. So my bond was $100
For a felony.
for a felony. Oh, no, wrong button.
Yup, felonies, baby.
There it is. So, I should have played that button a long time ago, telling this story. So I know it's already a long story, but long story short, my attorney took care of it. I never saw the inside of a courtroom for it. I got all of my guns back, and the sheriff's deputy and 2 others were fired the next day.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. They were reprimanded severely because a case like that, being charged with a felony, that changes somebody's life forever. Mm-hmm. You know, because if it were to go to court and I didn't have a good attorney or anything like that, I could have gotten screwed. And I wouldn't be able to vote. I wouldn't be able to own a firearm.
Sit what's in front of you right now.
I wouldn't be able to sit here with all this stuff, you know.
So been able to vote
or to vote. I mean, I don't like voting anyway because I don't like either side. But
you were
that's
the
neither
first.
here there.
You were the first one of all of us to be posting your little "I voted" sticker.
Right?
No,
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you were.
no. Didn't you post your sticker first?
Nope.
Oh,
That's all you, buddy.
everybody else was doing it.
He was
so
all
I figured
excited.
I would. I was all excited.
We were talking about that on our way back from our trip. We were going to vote, but you went with your family first, and then I wait on that Friday. I think you went on that Monday or Tuesday because your family went.
Oh no, I went and I did the early voting just
Yeah.
because I knew that, like,
It'd be super crowded.
yeah, like come time to vote, everybody else and their grandmother would be there, and I was just like, I don't want to deal with that.
Right.
So I'm just gonna go, and I closed my eyes and I just started pushing buttons.
Well, you did.
No, I didn't.
You kept feeding in quarters, trying.
Yeah,
No whammy, no whammy, no whammy.
And I called the assistant over and I was like, "Hey, mine's missing the little pull handle thingy, and it's not giving me any coins back, and the little thingies aren't rolling up and down. This is a casino, right?"
I thought you were asking for like the ticket so you could go get one of those
Oh, like the
balsa wood-
prizes?
Yeah, those little styrofoam airplanes.
the bouncing balls and stuff. Yeah, yeah. My dumbass would have thought it was a Peter Piper. So,
They should give those out instead of stickers, man. Here's
Right?
your free pizza, you know?
right? Here's a
For voting.
coupon for free pizza or something. Yeah, that would be cool. No, I was kind of worried because, you know, when Trump ran the second time, everybody's like, oh, there's collusion and this and that, and blah, 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 and Russia hacked it and all this other kind of stuff. And I was just like, is it really going to matter whether I vote or not? Well, I don't know. If it does or not, I'm just going to go and get it done with. So I was just worried that whole thing was going to happen again, and it was going to just be another uproar, and we just never hear the end of it. So, but that's just my 2 cents. You know what really grinds my gears? No. But, well, I think we covered a lot of good topics. I think,
I don't know how we ended up talking about PD from Croots, but we ended up there.
yeah, I don't know.
We took that left turn and just went with it.
That's the great thing about this podcast is when I started setting this up, and this whole thing came from a dinner that the guys and I had, and I just threw it out there. I was like, "Hey, would you guys ever want to do a podcast?" And immediately they're like, "Okay, well, what are we going to call it? What are we going to talk about? We could do this, we could do that, we could do that." And I was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. I was just asking if you guys would do one. And now we're doing one. So the great thing about this podcast is it really doesn't have any structure. It's kind of an anything goes kind of topic.
I don't know. I'm kind of hung up that y'all had dinner and didn't tell me.
It's not my fault you live in another continent.
Says the one that lives in another town. Well, I guess technically you don't. Never mind.
No. You're
I
like,
damn near. According to Rusty, my pin is pretty close to the Mexico border.
Yeah, like if you're in your front yard, you're in Texas. If you're in your backyard, you're in another state. Pretty close, right? Okay. So, but well, everyone, thank you for stopping by for another episode of Ammo Cans and Crayons. And till next time, we will see you guys later.
See ya.
Peace.
We were built to thrive, yeah.